Okay. Good morning. I've not seen the Zoom AI make that message in the chat before. Scott Phillips Events is using Summary AI, is it? Did you press a button? Have you been pressing buttons, Maurizio?
Mate, I have not
Hey.
done anything, man. Maybe it's my open claw fucking just, doing things on its own, man. That's probably why, man.
Open floor, man. We're gonna go back to all the way back to that War Games movie. You'll be pressing buttons and the fucking Pentagon,
Man.
right, divert from Iran. We need to get to Melbourne.
Shit, man. I don't know what's gonna happen with the world, man. It's so fucked up, man. Honestly.
It is, yeah, it's
Mm.
pretty melting pot at the moment. But
Mm.
luckily, we've got the stable, calm, and placid crypto environment to, just
Yeah.
luxuriously lollop through the day, fully relaxed with fuck all to think about.
Oh man, I think this is going to get hectic. Obviously, unfortunately this is the time to be watching, and obviously, as scary as it sounds, this could be the time for trade hard. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, like I don't know, like my heart goes to people. I know I had friends that got affected with Dubai stuff. Uh, and yeah, it's not pleasant, to hear stories of friends that got affected on this fucking world, you know, things. But if you guys, hopefully you're safe and everything, and hopefully we're safe because at this stage, no one is fucking safe, man. You know what I mean? Like any allies, of the US, like Australia, England, US, who knows, man? I don't know, man. Anyway, we hope and pray that we everything should be resolved quickly, right? It's one of those things.
Yeah, that was very adult. Yeah, I'll. There we go.
It is what it is, man. You
You've
know.
set the tone now. We can't draw any dicks on charts now.
Yeah, but it is unfortunately these are the moments that markets move, right? And these are the moments that it could be very scary to buy stuff like that. You know what I mean? But this could be the moments that we could get payoff. You know what I mean? In terms of risk and things like that. At
I think
least.
so.
Uh,
Look at Todd in the chat. He's ready to rip his shirt off and go in there and start taking money off of anybody that's daring to trade.
I know, man. That's how it works, unfortunately, right? Like when everything is at panic, this is where I think we should be paying close attention to markets, how what the market is doing, and I think could provide opportunities, right? So it's
Well, yeah.
obviously it's obviously all over the place right now because this just happened. Like all this stuff just happened over the weekend, and in my view, markets haven't opened yet. You know what I mean? We're just starting to see markets open in uh, Tokyo and Australia. That's going to be the real test. How markets are really going to digest what's going on, and if Iran has you know another continuation, it could get ugly. It could get ugly, or it could de-escalate. Which one is it gonna go? Who the fuck knows? You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I have no idea. Very tough to know. So we can play both directions in a way, right? But I have good news. Like I've been looking at the market uh this morning, and I'm just gonna give you my thoughts on it. And but then I want to hear you. Yeah, yeah. I want to hear you. What do you have? Oh, Todd,
Me?
I'm glad you fucking took it, man. I didn't, man. Far out, man. I know, mate. I'm glad you took fucking VVV that I talked 2 weeks in a row, and I didn't took it. Glad you took it, man. Yeah.
All right, Maurizio. So I've no reason to, at the moment, uh, change. the thesis that I've been on about for at least 1 or 2 weeks, which is
Mm-hmm.
that this 200, I think it's the EMA. I might have confused myself with the EMAs and SMAs, but it's not so important right now. Yeah, we lost this support 2 weeks ago. And
Mm-hmm.
then once we lost that support, this candle here, that week that we've just spent was very much okay, bulls. It's now with you.
Mm-hmm.
You need to prove the case.
Mm-hmm.
And if we look at the shape of the candle, which over the last 24 hours expanded a lot because it was a very thin-bodied candle in between, we can see that there was selling pressure and we can see that there was buying pressure, but there just wasn't enough buying pressure. So we closed below the 200, but also we closed below 67 as well. So that means that we closed with inside this range that goes back to the halving. So whilst there is always an opportunity for a reversal, and we would have to go through this week, recapture that 200, and then start to rebuild from there, I see that as, let's say, 5%. Never say never. So I'm 95%, and this is where I'm going to stop being so accurate. I'm 95% that we're going to
So,
be.
so 95% is not being accurate, is
Well, no, no,
that?
well, no, it is, right? Because I'm not going to say we're going down to 54. What I'm going to say is I'm 95% certain that we are going to operate within the kind of boundaries of this new range here. Because we were in this range for a long time, right? So
Mm,
that's why I'm saying that I'm not imagining this fucking unholy drop. Oh, Bitcoin's only 10,000. Wow. I'm not imagining that. I'm looking
mm.
at the evidence that's right in front of me. I'm saying, right, I'm seeing this breakdown. I've been talking about it for a few weeks. I've got no real reason to change my mind. And I believe that we're going to be operating within this, well, those two yellow lines. So I'm short in the Bitcoin, Not alts. I haven't got any alts in mind, but I'm ready to short the Bitcoin.
Okay, interesting take. Okay. I'm going to go through two theses that I have at the moment, okay? And let's see which one holds more weight because I don't know which one's going to go, right? So it's either the bullish case or the bearish case. By the way, let me ask you guys, are you bearish right now on Bitcoin or are you fucking bullish right now on Bitcoin? Like where are you now? Like where is everybody at? So Jim is bearish, bearish. Okay, sure. Bearish until September. Bullish, bearish, hold pattern. All right. All right. And I just want to ask you because uh trading usually goes against what everybody thinks. And this is just a thesis that I like to think about. All right. So obviously what's our jobs is trying to be a detective and finding you know evidence that support what we think about, right? So let me just share my screen. Give me 1 second. That's not the screen. And let me know if it's slow or something. It's just an issue with my computer this morning, and
Okay, we're not seeing your screen yet.
that's
Oh,
it.
here we are. There you go.
Ah,
There we go. Could you zoom in a little bit like you did last week? Your candles were so
yep.
much bigger last week. Look at that, eh? Look at that.
Okay. So let's get rid of pretty much everything. Okay.
Mm.
And let's start from the weekly perspective. I think you did a pretty good summary of what could look like, right? In terms
Hmm.
of why shorting, why we're below this, why all this stuff. Now, I'm going to challenge your thinking, and this is challenging my own thinking, by the way, because
Hmm.
I was very short. I was like over the weekend when the Iran thing happened. The first thing that I thought of doing is fucking shorting the market.
Hmm.
Okay, that's the first thing I thought of doing. Did I do it? No. Okay, and I don't like to react quickly to news and stuff like that. But all right, that's structurally speaking. But let's talk about what happened during the week or during the Saturday low liquidity kind of thing. Okay, so one thing that drives the price of any stock of any token or any share is news and how markets react to news. Do you agree?
Yes.
All right. If you have a good news and the market doesn't pump, do you think that's good or bad? Like let's say for instance, let's say you have Bitcoin. Fuck, think anyway. Have
Hmm.
Bitcoin here and it's trying to break above here, and you have good news around here, and market doesn't do this, doesn't keep going. What do you think this is going to do? Do you think those news were positive for the market or bad for the market? Have you heard the expression by the deep? Sorry, sell good news, buy the bad news. Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, there you go. Todd, that one. Sell the rumor, buy the bombs. Shit, man. Sounds horrible to say, but yeah, that's kind of the whole thing, right? So with that being said, the opposite is happening, right? So you had really bad news right here, and the reaction of the market is not panic. It's basically buying. But who is buying, right? We're gonna go into that, right? So could this be absorption? Absorption. What that means is, on bad news, if market doesn't move, that's basically the capitulation. Last week we talked about that I was waiting for a down sell, you know what I mean? Like a capitulation week that can happen here, but that's where I wanted to buy. I wanted to buy around 60K. Now, do I am I going to get 60K? Like, is one of my theses. If we didn't get 60K on really bad news, I don't think we're gonna get it. That's one thesis. Okay.
Hmm.
Why? Because obviously, we have horrible news, right? Like, and Bitcoin has basically stayed really well on this level. Now, am I willing to buy right now? Like blindly? Not really. Why? So obviously markets haven't opened yet. We don't know what the implications and like New York session is going to be really interesting today, right? I'd rather not to be awake for it because otherwise I'm going to be doing mistakes. And the reason why is that it's going to be a lot of volatility. You're going to have a lot of people that are going to go short. You're going to have a lot of people that's going to go buy. Stocks de-risking, stocks risking. You're going to have a lot of sentiment around that. Okay, because it's funny enough that a lot of these events that happen usually happen when the markets are closed, right? Anyway, interesting. So that's one of the theses. Now, if I'm going to start looking how the S&P 500 might open today, I want to start looking at how the world is opening this morning, right? In terms of uh, we have the Japan market with a open at a little bit of a gap and then recover. We have Germany, right? Huge gap, right, to the downside. Is that going to fully fill the gap? Who knows? We got the S&P 500, but obviously this is the futures, right? So we open on a gap, right? And are we going to close that gap? Who knows, right? And the VIX, right, is actually increasing. What that means is it's a lot of volatility in the market. a lot of uncertainty what happens around the markets, and essentially I wanna definitely wait to see a full capitulation on this thing, right? Before I start going nuts on buying Bitcoin. But it looks pretty good from that perspective, right? So that's kind of the thesis that I have, right? So I either wait for that capitulation candle to happen, right? And you don't know what other developments are going to happen in terms of the war, right? They could bomb who knows what, and then markets could actually, and so it's a lot of uncertainty. But the interesting thing is how that's holding up here. So once things start de-risking, definitely I'm going to be a big buyer at whatever level is at Bitcoin. That's basically the summary. Why? Because of the reason that I just laid out, right? Now, that's kind of the thesis, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, right? Let me just oh yeah, over here. I did a little bit of headlines. This is just to remind me what always happens with markets, especially with Bitcoin after events. And share this with you. I'll post it in the group. And more than likely every scenario you're going to get those bounces, right? So this is the days to recover. So how many days it takes to recover after an event? But we haven't had that capitulation candle again. Are we going to have it? That's what I need to understand. So you can either start buying spot, right, at these levels, which is not bad, or we wait until the real capitulation happens, and then we're going to start doing leverage. You know what I mean? That's kind of the plan. So this is just to remind me that every bigger drop, bigger buy opportunity, historically speaking. Is this going to be the sixth time that this is going to happen? And maybe, maybe not, but we get a statistical, you know, this is when things happen. So we could get that dip down, you know what I mean, all the way down. So you can play the shorts definitely, right? All the way if we have it. But I'm seeing what I'm seeing over the weekend. Obviously, over the weekend, the problem is that the liquidity is not very real. You know what I mean? Like I don't wanna, even though it came out from the weekend, I wanna see real buyers coming through this week, right? Real buyers, like, and how do we can start tracking that? Obviously, IBIT could be the main one to start tracking this one, and uh, you know, what I mean, if we start seeing a lot of investors going into ETFs and things like that, I think it could be the place. It could be the place that is bottom, right? That this could be it, right? Why? Because horrible news and market still. Let me go through. Where's my? Give me 1 second. Just stop the sharing. Where's my CVD? 1 second. There you go. There you go. Right here. Okay. Let me share the screen again.
Okay,
All right. So, do you see my screen now?
we can.
All right. So, what I want to see, obviously, this volume, right? That happened 28th of Feb at 17:30. Right? This is my time. Now, massive, massive, massive CVD coming through here, right? So that gives me a lot of hope that there are big players playing this game right here. You know what I mean? Like it's not perpetual futures trying to get you in or anything like that. It's this kind of volume, the one that I wanna see to say, shit, this could be it. You know what I mean? Like, and it's on horrible news, you get absorption, you get big buyers coming through. However, this happens over the weekend. Uh, so essentially, what I want to see is this CBD is going to remain the same after the New Year session. If it does, then I'm gonna have a little bit more clarity. I'm gonna make sure that that we get positioned. That's kind of my main thesis at the moment, right? Okay, failing that. Okay, now we're going to the second thing. So, any questions so far? Do you guys agree? What do you reckon, Ian? Is that something that resonates with you at all, or not really?
So I've been trying to sort of summarize it as you go. I think what
Mm-hmm.
you initially said about Bitcoin is that this week, if we were shorting this week, we would be shorting into like anticipation. So we need to perhaps evidence a bit more from Bitcoin that it's accepted this resistance drop. But then you switch to the open interest, and I think it was the CBD that you went to first of all that
Mm-hmm.
kind of piqued your curiosity that it might be the larger institutions
Mm-hmm.
that are getting involved, and that's giving you a glimmer of something that there could be some trades on. Is that about right?
Mm-hmm. Correct. 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 So
Mm.
because think about it, right? Like if on any sort of uh conflict, you want to go short, right? A lot of people want to go short.
Yeah.
So and usually the market is gonna fuck most of people that they can. You know what I mean? And if I'm short, I was short up on last week,
Mm.
but those events change the behavior of the market structure. You know what I mean? Like if we didn't have any behavior whatsoever, any war, nothing, we're still in talks and shit like that, I'll be shorting the market, right? Because it was a lot of, but now things already happen. You know what I mean? I think from the behavior of things already happen. News is already up there. We are in technically war, right? We have missiles all over the fucking place, and Bitcoin hasn't fucking crashed.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I'm seeing CBD coming through, right? So that makes me think, right? Like that's kind of, is this going to tank? Right? So obviously to this morning, like it's very hard to say by one session, but then obviously New Year session is going to be very interesting because New Year session could open exactly the same as the other sessions this morning. So as to Germany, right? Have a look. That it opened with a gap and then recover. But is this going to fully recover, or is this just like a reaction of the gap? Same thing, it could happen with the S&P 500 this morning, right? So it's going to be an interesting day in New York at the moment, and it's the first day. It's kind of the first day after the event. You know what I mean? In terms of how the financial markets are going to react to this. Um, so that's to say that if I'm seeing this is my plan, right? Like now generating the thesis, now generate the plan. Would I buy now? I'm feeling odd buying now, but if I'm start seeing CVD maintaining, and if I see a wick down, that's going to be my opportunity to load the truck in a way. If I start seeing CVD rolling over, right, I might even think for a short, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, and rolling over, what that means is CVD starts sort of closing down all the positions, then this thing is gonna roll over. Then I'll go short. You know what I mean? Like that definitely that could play out the short still. But
Mm.
that's kind of my that's where I'm at. And obviously if Bitcoin, whatever Bitcoin decides to do, the whole crypto market is going to be following that, right? Ethereum, Solana, all that sort of stuff. So that's kind of the whole thesis behind what I'm seeing. Obviously, can that thesis change tomorrow or in a couple of hours if you get another uh, missile or something striking? I don't know, who knows? And then you start seeing investors rolling out this thing. Yeah, definitely. So that's the thing that you have to play out and be very careful on how do you size and how you risk. You know what I mean? So whatever I do, I'm gonna keep the risk low and after de-escalation, right? If we start seeing talks and de-escalation stuff like that, then I'm gonna start keeping my risk, you know what I mean, open up my risk a little bit more. That's kind of the plan for it.
Nice. Nice. So many variables, eh? So many
Fuck man.
things that are
Welcome to trading, man. So
uh,
that's why you need to have the plan for both scenarios.
mm,
In my view, I cannot be fully short and I cannot be fully long. The best possible way that I can think of doing this is if this, then that. Like and that's basically what I lay out here. If this happens, which is CVD maintaining, perhaps we have a little bit of flush, right? People, flushing derivatives, right?
mhm,
And that could be a really opportunity to buy then, right? But if we now you have to play with news, right? Now you have to play with what the event with the geopolitical things that are happening now.
mhm,
Let's say you get another missile somewhere else, and you start seeing a lot of the CVD coming like rolling over. Market is
mm,
going to keep going down, man. Definitely, you know what I mean. It's not going to be
mm,
absorption. Like it's not going to be anyone to say, "Oh fuck, this is the time to buy."
mm, mm, mm,
And then I'll short, but you have to be mindful when while shorting that at some
mhm.
point things are going to bounce. That's the you know what I mean? Like that's kind of the intricacies of shorting.
Okay
So
then, Maurizio. Okay then, I got a couple of things to
yeah,
let's talk about the news, right?
let's talk about the news. Yes.
Because news is one of the things that I'm yet to trade on very much, just because it's
Yeah.
so complex, right? Let's
Yeah.
try a little experiment, yeah? Now I only have an opinion when I give my answer, and that's the point. In the chat, just give a couple of lines. Why do you think gold what do you think is the main reason that gold has been just popping off like crazy? Not this last week or so, but for quite a while yet. And then once people are giving a few opinions about that, I'll give my opinion about gold. And what I'm looking for is, wow, haven't we all got like these vastly different opinions? So
Mm.
it's like trading news comes from your perspective of the world. Unless you are,
Mm-hmm.
so well, first of all, we got prediction markets, right? So you can knock yourself out with as much fucking political stuff as you possibly
Oh,
want.
yeah,
Okay. Right.
definitely, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we got some interesting answers coming through. The gold standard changes, a value, politically instability worldwide. Maurizio, what would yours be?
With trading news,
No, with gold, just
I
a
have
couple of
no,
sentences why it's
I
pop.
have no fucking clue. But
Okay, so we got.
here's my take
Mhm,
of what's going on. Obviously, uh, with gold, right? You get all this risk. Whenever something happens, it looks gold. It tends to be the safest asset that you can actually hold. Okay,
yeah.
so that could be it. You know what I mean? When you can go
Mhm,
back and historically seeing that gold is the less risky asset that you can hold in a way, right? Even though
mhm,
so that could be one of them. The main reason why it went up a huge, it was the news about China buying like half of the gold, stuff like that, that created that demand or that sort of demand for it. And obviously, the more demand it gets, the more the price of an asset will go up. You know what I mean? So is that
mhm,
going to be real price or not? I don't know. But that's probably the main
mhm.
reason why gold is nuts. And that's why gold is still looking attractive because on uncertainty, then investors tries to keep risk assets off their books, and then they need to park it somewhere else, and that gold is one of the options, right?
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, how interesting, how many different answers we've got and different perspectives. And I suppose what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying is that like when it comes to trading on price action, you do have some kind of boundaries and barriers. You can interpret the price action or the open interest, you can only interpret it incorrectly, and then somebody more experienced could come along and say, "Oh no, this was the interpretation of it." So
Mm-hmm.
my take on gold, right, and it's linked with all this macro stuff that's impossible to
Mm-hmm.
work out, is when Russia was removed from the banking system, and then it was like, "Oh, okay, then." So we could be, this is like all countries, we could be put out, so, okay, then let's start buying gold.
Mm-hmm.
So countries are buying gold.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to like that start of the Russia war, right? The
Mm-hmm.
Russia-Ukraine
Mm-hmm.
war. But now, how many topics have we covered now? So, which topic do you look at to try and price gold? The war,
Mm-hmm.
the this, the that, the this. So, it can really get overwhelming
Mm-hmm.
trading on news.
Oh
Like, I love the
man,
explanation that you give because you gave a thesis, you gave an
the
if,
the
then, you
exactly
know.
the best. That's why trading news I don't do it either. But something that I do like to see is which is I always was the reaction of the market at certain news. That's basically if you get good at that, right? That is an
But what about that thing of it's priced in? Because like
exactly if
is
it
that
is
so you're looking for an opposite reaction to it's priced in?
so that's exactly what I explained on
Hmm.
if on here. All right, you have Bitcoin here moving, bah, 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 bah. It breaks above, and then you get good news here, and the market has failed to continue to the upside. That's basically telling you that this move is already being priced in
Hmm.
of those news. You know what I mean? That's basically what it is. Like in terms of like to get everything priced in, that's what a priced in information looks like. So you merge uh, market structure with the behavior of the market and what the nature of the news is. Is that good for new for Bitcoin? If it fails to have continuation to the upside, then that's in my view that's the priced in reality of it. Same thing to the other way around. That's why I'm bringing that to because that could be I'm more inclined to that thesis, that we're going to bounce from here, right? Uh,
Hmm.
just on the fact that what that happened is, we might have a little bit more volatility to come, but I'm willing to buy. You know what I mean? I'm not way to 60K if New York basically that's the opposite of pricing, right?
Hmm.
You sell on good news and you buy on bad news, technically, right?
It's the trouble when the market's in one of these kind of decision periods,
It is.
you can make up stuff all day. It's like let's talk
Oh,
for another 30
mate.
minutes and just make stuff up. Right,
And you know
this is what's
what?
going to happen.
And you know what? Everybody's right, man.
Yeah,
Everybody is right at this
everyone.
stage. You can give me any fucking thesis that you want, and you're right.
Mm.
That's it. You know what I mean? Like that's it. And that's what the market is all about, right? Like that. Now, how you action that is the biggest thing. So obviously that's going to be the action plan. I have to create an action plan, and if that happens, and if that action plan fails, then so be it. You know what I mean? That's why I don't going to risk a lot. And but if the action plan works, then I know that the
Yeah.
thesis could be correct. Then I start adding size into it and things like that. So obviously I'm not saying that I'm going to be right because I'll be
Mm.
lying, right? And I'm not saying like if you are 100% on your things, go all in, man. Like go fucking all in, man. And I hope you win the game. But that's kind of the only thing that I can sort of say
Yeah.
by trading all these years. It's like you never know, you never know, and
You never
usually
know.
you never know, man.
You never
So
know, and everybody's right. That's it. That's
there you
genuine.
go. Yeah, that's it,
Yeah,
man. Yeah,
in a
yeah.
sentence. All right, I
So,
got a sensible question then, Maurizio. I'll put my sensible hat on.
all right.
Okay, so let's go into the future 1 week. and we get a candle close that's bearish, and Bitcoin does continue to the downside, what effect do you think that will have in the short term on altcoins? Do you see altcoins bleeding out slowly? Or is there any evidence, say through the structure of the majors, that might suggest that altcoins will effectively plummet? So there'll be a real opportunity in altcoins when Bitcoin is going down? Or do you think, and obviously that is a very broad, mystical
Mm.
crystal ball in the future question.
All right, let's have a look because obviously I don't know. Let's try to answer that question to see what we see. So first of all, let's start to where the capital is going. So obviously I know we have the Bitcoin dominance at the moment. That's not doing nothing. So and we have the USDC dominance, which is sort of like the this dominance. I like to have a look at this dominance quite often, and the reason why is if you start seeing this coming through, what that means is that people are cashing in whatever assets they had, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum into stables, right? If we start seeing this coming through, right? Then more than likely people are willing to start risking. And this is now to the point that it could mean revert back to its mean on 200 EMA, right?
Mhm.
So with that being said, where we at the moment? So we are in a range, right? We are in a range of uncertainty, right? So a lot of people cash out already, right? And where is that money located? Like where is that money? So that money hasn't been allocated yet, kind of, right? So if we're going to have a look at the total three has been ranging, right? Total three
Mhm.
has been ranging. I'm less. Here's my take. That's why I don't use it's sort of not using the total three any longer as an accurate C chart. And the reason why is you have to take into account what is total three. Well, I'm taking USDT out, I'm taking USDC out, and we take all the 10 majors, right? But the USD the total three is basically the whole index of all alts, right? But the problem is like more alts keep being added, and a lot of liquidity pumps and downs and things like that. That's why you see. That's why I'm not seeing a really good indication here in terms of where the money is flowing. You know what I mean? Like you see a few outliers doing 100% and some others like crashing in a way. So that's why you still see this index maintaining itself. So that's my take. You know what I mean? Like, but this is in range. This is kind of following the same thing as Bitcoin, as you can see. Like if you take a mental picture of this, right?
Mhm.
And now do this. What do you
Yeah.
see? You see a very similar pattern, right? Very similar pattern. Like you don't see any of that stuff winning, right? Like you can actually see it. That is very similar, man. You know what I mean? It's very correlated, right? So same thing with others. So others is basically, yeah, taking the top 10 out of that is basically the same freaking time, man. And I do have this one here, which is other slash BTC, which is basically the ratio between alts and Bitcoin, right? And according to this, what do you see here? Like others against Bitcoin.
So that's the whole of the altcoin market
Exactly,
against
but
Bitcoin.
against Bitcoin. So if you have a look at this, essentially alts are winning the race, right?
Mhm.
Why? because they're stronger in terms, but you have to take into account that caveat that others takes pretty much every single altcoin out there, and you're gonna have outliers and not. So to answer that question is according to this, right? According to this, alts could actually hold, right? If you get Bitcoin, if you get a Bitcoin drop, then alts could hold its value, their value. But the problem is with this is you don't know for how long. So if Bitcoin drops, I don't know, below 60, that means it's going to drop probably, I don't know, let's say, is that 15%? Is that possible? Yes, of course it's possible. You could have the same, like if Bitcoin drops 15% and now drop, let's say 25%, you could have the same ratio, but it's still a whole market could drop.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? That doesn't mean that alts are going to
Because
thrive.
if they drop synchronously, then they drop the same amount.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then and exactly. And this one, where's my fucking right? Right here.
Or symmetrically rather than
This one,
synchronously. Symmetrical.
exactly. This one will remain the fucking same.
Uh-huh.
And everything drops. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's the intricacy of these things. So I think for me, the best way to visualize what alts are doing, I think I think you're gonna know what I'm talking about.
That is interesting.
Which one is the best way to visualize what alts?
We are gonna invert, baby.
No.
Oh.
Why is the best? So why is the best? Oh, someone in the chat, please. Someone in the chat. What is the
Oh,
best
so
way to
excited.
figure out what the altcoin market is doing and what sectors might be the ones that are actually. There we go, Marlon. Thank you.
There we
See,
go. Look
there we
at
go,
that.
Marlon. The spaghetti charge, my friend. So I think this is the most accurate version of what the fuck is doing. And let me reset this. I'm gonna change this to, yeah, let's leave it 2 hours, and let me start from the beginning of the year. So if I cram this up to the beginning of the year, that's as far as I can get it. Okay, so uh, come on, no, let me do 4 hours and let me do it from the beginning of the year because I do want to see it from the beginning of the year. Okay, so there you go. This is from the beginning of the year, right? So you can start visualizing what the strength of each sector look like. So the first thing to see is what's the strength according to S&P 500. So this is from the beginning of the year. S&P 500 remains like that, and this is crypto, right? This is crypto. Just make it a little bit. Yeah, there you go. That's better. So do you see a strength or not really?
Well, everything seems to be pointing down.
Exactly. So obviously you do have a few outliers, which is the ones that we want to sort of pay attention to. And that's why I picked up Kite and VVV and fucking, yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's one of those things that I don't like to trade on weekends, and this thing went nuts on the weekend. But let me just make this a little bit lower, a little bit lower. So you got AI sectors here, you get the memes, right? Some sectors sort of, let me just, yeah, there you go. Okay. So this is the best indication instead of the total three, unfortunately, to have sort of the majors, right? And start seeing when everything starts pumping to the upside, that means it's a strength in the market. That means people are willing to start buying risk assets, right? So this is for me is the best representation where the money is heading to. And a lot of the times, a lot of that stuff happens on memes first, right? you've seen the picture, like a lot of memes starts popping, and then that translate into different sort of sectors, right? So this is for me the best chart for me to say, oh fuck, okay, I think alts are holding, and if they do, then which sector is holding the most, and then those are the ones that I want to be focusing on. So unfortunately, I missed BVV. I think Todd grabbed it. That's on me, my bad. But then obviously I was very apprehensive to go into markets before the, with the geopolitical stuff happening and all sort of stuff. Anything could happen. You know what I mean? So this is this is to answer to your question, man. And if Bitcoin drops and you see that these sectors remain the same, then you definitely have an edge to say, fuck, let's go long on outs. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the to summarize essentially what your question was about.
I
That's how I
mean,
read it. You know what I mean? Like that, and I could be wrong, by the way, but but yeah, that's why I put this charts together because they're very telling, man. They're very telling. So, for instance, last week we were talking about Jupe, and you start seeing Jupe being an outlier here. See? You start seeing
mhm.
Jupe, you start seeing Aave, you start seeing all these little things coming through. So I think Jupe is still on my radar. In terms of L1s, which one is the ones that are going to win the race? So we have TRX, Paul, obviously Bera. I want to take this one out of here. But then once you start seeing a lot of these things, are going stronger than Bitcoin is when the risk is on, man. Like, and that's when you should load the truck up. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Nice. Well, that was a little masterclass in a bottle there. So, what did we just go over then? We went over how to use some of the macro metrics. There was a lot of what did we do? We had others. Bitcoin was
Yep.
one of them. You did all of the USDTs combined, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, as a ratio.
Yep.
And then we showed the sectors charts so you could see what things are moving. And then you can go under the hood, with the open interest with any of these, with that same layout that Maurizio's got. And then you can see
Mm-hmm.
if there's actually anything that's flowing, that's moving. It's like being able to look under the price action hood. So yeah, that's a real masterclass in a
Kind of. Yeah. Yeah, man. Unfortunately, that's I
you
still awaiting it for me. It is a really like if you scalp, but you have like Todd. I think Todd, you've been
Mhm.
killing it right now because you've been. I know you like scalp. This type of markets is good for scalping, man. A lot of chopping
You
in the
know,
direction. Yeah.
Maurizio, I imagine Todd, right, with that camouflage stuff that you put on your face. I do. I imagine him camouflaging himself up while he's sat at his screen. You know, that's how serious he takes this scalping. But,
Well,
yeah.
if you that's to be honest, you know scalping is very profitable if you know how to do it, man. And you don't have to hold overnight. You don't have to hold for a year. You don't have to just basically, if you do well on scalping, you
Mm.
only need a couple of good trades a week to make the same money that you could make in a year.
You
As simple as
do.
that,
You
right?
do. But we might
But
joke about Todd, but I mean, you've got to have such a strong constitution.
Oh, you have to know
You
what
know,
the fuck you're doing. You have to stay up and look at the charts pretty much.
you've got to be willing to
You know what I
take
mean?
many punches in the face, many
And
of them.
exactly, and it's very easy to become emotional and oversize revenge trade. Oh man, it's a lot of things, and yeah, I think Todd could relate on that, man, because I've done it, and you know what I mean. So it's that one of those things that if you do want to do that, then that's fine, man. But you need to be very strong, emotional, and you have to be very objective in what you see and a bunch of different things. Yeah. So, but it's profitable. well, like, yeah, it is profitable. If you're able to maintain your psychology great, it is profitable, really profitable.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I make most of my money, to be honest. And in scalping and doing short-term setups and things like that, you know. So, but it's very taxing on your brain, very
It
taxing.
is. It
Mm.
is. And I'm super excited for what's going to be cooked up in YFM because these prediction markets, it's like, hey, here's a whole new market that's really liquid and pays in
Mm.
USDC. And it's like, oh wow, that's really nice. Because it's easy to think, oh man, I've missed crypto. I've missed it. Like it was 12 years ago, you should have been there where there was only five coins and you couldn't lose, you know? But yeah, who knows what's going to happen with these prediction markets and who knows what you can do on them without any of the AI stuff? Because obviously the YFM is taking it to the absolute max, if you know what I mean, getting an edge, validating it, and then the AI swarm just to capture as much value as you can.
Mm.
But who knows what the next market is that's going to open? Because obviously we've got the Clarity Act and the Genius Act. I think one of them might still be going through, whatever processing now. But then comes the tokenization of everything,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and there's going to be, well, I would like to think, new participants, new, you know, well, like I say, it's anybody can then tokenize their business effectively. So
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to end the call on that. Yeah, I still think crypto's the place to be, and I'm glad that I'm here. And I know that it's crazy and it can drive you mad, but eventually, yeah, you just kind of learn to live with it and say, all right, then, well, this is it. As long as I'm fit and healthy and in position and positioned for when it does move, then this is a rest of life game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's a very good summary. I just wanna, finish with the hype. I think because that was my favorite, last week, and I missed this trade completely. But I we still like we still have a lot of opportunities to get back into hype if we has
Mm.
continuation. I think what happens with hype is this one. Yeah, check this out. This post, obviously. Due to the fact Bloomberg actually do a thing on hype. So now because you can actually try trade you can actually it's a very good proposition. This is I wanted to talk about hype because think about it from the perspective of risk of uh people that actually trade oil or gold or silver, and they use brokers and stuff like that, and a lot of there are a lot of brokers in Dubai, and now Dubai is being under attack in a way, right? Now, if if you have a proposition like Hype that you can actually trace the same future markets on a DeFi platform that you control, it's an interesting thing. You know what I mean? Like it becomes like very, very interesting. So that's why Hype is actually gaining a lot of attention right now. And I think that shows in the price. And is stuff for me to start buying here. I want to see what happens in New York. Obviously, I could miss the big move, but I really, really like Hype. Like I really want to start keep buying from that perspective. But with that being said, keep an eye. Let's keep an. I'm gonna be keeping an eye on Asta and Lit, which are basically the main competitors of Hype, right? But to see if there's any reaction there. But it seems like it's nothing on Asta. It seems like it's nothing on Lit. But I'm gonna keep an eye on these ones because if we start seeing liquidity coming through, this might be opportunities, right? That so same technology, same things, and that's why Hype is actually doing great. And that's the main reason because of gold and because of silver and because of all these risk assets that now you can actually trade on Hype.
Nice, very nice. All right then, big drum roll. Should we call it a day?
Call it a day, man. Stay safe, guys, and obviously stay cool. If we go into any trades, keep the risk low. And then obviously as the price improves, then we start, bringing it in. Okay, so that's
Going in there.
unfortunately, yeah.
All right. Ta-da,
All right,
everyone.
guys, have a good one. Bye bye.